Right now, somewhere in your house, there's a machine fighting a quiet war against the sun. You call it air conditioning. You press a button and the heat just disappears. Now picture standing outside 20,000 years ago, the middle of the ice age. No button, no machine, no real shade. Because the land around you isn't the frozen postcard you're picturing. Here's the part almost nobody tells you. The ice age wasn't just cold. It was also brutally dry, brutally dusty, and brutally sun-exposed. And summer could still beat you down. The humans living through it didn't just endure it. They engineered their way through it. And some of their tricks are still humming quietly inside your home today. Say Ice Age and you picture one thing: endless snow, mammoths, people huddled in furs forever. Real climate science tells a stranger story. Yes, it was colder than today overall, noticeably colder, even in summer. But colder didn't mean comfortable. Here's why. So much of the planet's water was frozen into ice sheets that the air itself dried out. Ice cores show the atmosphere back then carried up to 20 to 25 times more dust than it does now. Picture a world with almost no plant cover, no clouds to soften the sun, and constant wind kicking dust into the air. So summer wasn't a break from the hardship. It was a different kind of hardship. Dry heat, glaring sun, and skin-cracking wind, with nowhere to hide from any of it. These people didn't just need thick coats. They needed a summer survival kit too. Start small. Ice Age people built some of their summer shelters, partly underground, dug a few feet into the earth. Soil a few feet down barely changes temperature between day and night. It stays cool in summer and holds warmth in winter. Your root cellar today works on the exact same idea. Next, they tracked animals by heat, not just by season. Big herds like bison and horses moved toward water and shaded river valleys as it got hotter. Hunter-gatherers followed the same paths, building their whole year around wherever the heat was survivable. Some groups went further. At summer camps in what's now southern France, archaeologists have found hide walls rigged to open and close, raised to catch a breeze, dropped again when the wind kicked up dust instead. This wasn't a fixed hut. It was a shelter you adjusted by the hour, the same way you'd open or close blinds today. Here's where it gets interesting. In what's now Ukraine and Russia, some groups built shelters from mammoth bones, packed with earth and sod. These were built mainly to survive brutal winters, but the same thick, heavy walls that kept cold out also work the other way. Thick, dense material is slow to heat up and slow to cool down. It smooths out extremes in both directions. That's the exact same idea your fridge insulation uses today, a barrier that resists fast temperature swings. Different tools, same physics, thousands of years apart. Now here's the fact that should genuinely surprise you. On the shore of the Sea of Galilee, there's a site called Ohalo II, phonetic Ohalo II, dated to about 23,000 years ago. It's one of the best preserved Ice Age camps ever found, and it holds two world records. It has the oldest known human-built huts on Earth, made of woven branches and reeds. And it has the oldest known evidence of people deliberately planting and harvesting wild grains, over 11,000 years before farming was supposed to have started. Let that sit for a second. People at this site weren't just scraping by in the heat. They were experimenting with plants, storing seeds, building real architecture, over 20,000 years before the pyramids. You'd assume, after all this, that these communities were miserable and barely hanging on. The record says otherwise. At Dolní Věstonice, in the Czech Republic, researchers found organized settlements, jewelry, and fired clay figurines. These weren't people just trying to survive the next hour. They had systems solid enough to leave room for art, ritual, and culture. And this is the part that matters more than any single trick. Every underground shelter dug by hand, every hide wall raised and lowered. None of it came from one lone genius. It came from families, from grandmothers who remembered what worked the last brutal summer and passed it down to children who would need it themselves one day. Nobody wrote it down. There was no manual. It lived in memory, in stories, in one person showing another how to survive. You didn't invent staying cool. You inherited it, passed hand to hand for 20,000 years. Studies of Ice Age skeletons prove many of these populations were reasonably well nourished. Their systems for handling heat worked. So here's the part most documentaries skip. For long stretches of the year, the real daily challenge wasn't staying warm, it was staying cool. So look at that machine in your house again. Somewhere behind its plastic casing is an idea people had 20,000 years before you were born. You didn't beat the heat first. You just inherited the fight.